Ethan Miller woke before sunrise in his cold, narrow apartment on the edge of Detroit, Michigan. The walls were thin, the floor creaked with every step, and the heater barely worked. His life had been like this for years, quiet struggles, unpaid bills, and long working hours that never seemed to lead anywhere. Since his wife passed away from cancer 3 years ago, Ethan lived only for one reason: his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Every morning he packed her worn lunchbox, kissed her forehead, and prayed silently for strength to survive another difficult day. Ethan worked as a janitor at a gas station, cleaning toilets, mopping floors, and emptying trash cans for barely enough money to survive. He took extra night shifts whenever possible, sacrificing sleep to keep Lily fed and in school. One rainy evening, exhausted after a double shift, Ethan decided to take a shortcut through an abandoned construction site to get home faster. The rain had turned the ground into thick mud, and broken concrete lay scattered everywhere. As he walked through the darkness, his foot struck something soft buried under water and dirt. At first, he thought it was trash. But when he bent down and pulled it free, he realized it was a black duffel bag, torn slightly at the side. Water dripped from it as he lifted it. Curious and nervous, Ethan unzipped the bag just a little. What he saw made his heart skip violently. Inside were stacks of cash, wrapped tightly with rubber bands. His hands began to shake. He zipped the bag shut quickly and looked around in panic. The site was empty, silent except for the rain. No one was watching. With fear pounding in his chest, Ethan dragged the heavy bag home. Every step felt dangerous, as if someone might jump out of the shadows. When he reached his apartment safely, he locked the door twice and sat on the floor, staring at the bag as if it might explode. Lily was asleep in the next room, hugging her broken teddy bear. Ethan finally opened the bag fully and stared at the mountain of money inside. He slowly counted some of it with trembling fingers and realized it was over $2 million. All night he sat awake, fighting a war inside his soul. The money could solve everything: no more debt, no more hunger, no more fear of eviction. He imagined Lily in a good school, wearing clean clothes, smiling proudly. But deep inside, another voice whispered the truth: money like this always comes from crime. Good people do not lose bags full of millions. If he kept it, danger would follow. If he returned it, danger could still arrive, but his conscience would be clean. By morning, Ethan made his choice. He placed most of the money back into the bag, keeping only enough to pay overdue rent and essential bills. With his heart racing, he drove to the nearest police station and quietly left the bag at the entrance before speeding away without giving his name. He believed he had done the right thing and that life would now return to normal. But what Ethan did not know was that the cash belonged to a powerful criminal organization that the FBI had been secretly tracking for months. Within 2 days, strange things began happening. Black SUVs started appearing near his workplace and his apartment. Men in plain clothes stood near the gas station pretending to shop but constantly watching him. His phone calls dropped suddenly. Once, he returned home to find his door unlocked even though he clearly remembered locking it. Fear slowly crept into his heart. He felt watched, hunted, even though he had done nothing wrong. Lily sensed his anxiety and asked why he looked so scared all the time, but Ethan could not answer. One evening, as Ethan finished his shift and stepped outside, 2 well-dressed men approached him calmly. One of them showed his FBI badge quietly. Ethan felt his knees weaken. They guided him into a black vehicle and drove him to a secure building. There, they explained that the money he found was tied to a massive money laundering operation involving armed criminals. By returning the bag, Ethan had accidentally destroyed their major transaction. Now the criminals were desperate to find the person who touched their lost fortune. The FBI placed Ethan and Lily under protective surveillance immediately. They moved between safe houses, changing locations frequently. Lily cried at night, confused and frightened, missing her old school and her small room. Ethan stayed awake with her, promising that everything would be okay, even though fear crushed his own chest. He felt guilty for dragging his daughter into danger, yet he knew that turning in the money had been the only moral choice. Still, the weight of responsibility nearly broke him. One night, as they were being transported from one safe house to another, danger struck. A dark sedan suddenly accelerated toward their vehicle on an empty highway. Gunshots shattered the silence. The FBI escort swerved, returning fire as chaos erupted. Ethan pulled Lily tightly against his chest, shielding her with his body as she screamed in terror. The agents managed to force the attackers off the road, and the criminals disappeared into the darkness. That night, Ethan truly understood how close death had come. After that attack, the FBI moved quickly. Using tracking devices hidden in the returned money, they located warehouses, accounts, and leaders connected to the criminal network. One by one, arrests were made across multiple states. Within weeks, the entire organization was dismantled. News channels exploded with headlines about the massive arrest operation. Ethan watched from a small television in the safe house as reporters described how a mysterious citizen had helped expose the criminal empire by returning a stolen fortune. When it was safe again, the FBI finally allowed Ethan and Lily to return to normal life. But normal was no longer the same. Law enforcement officers, moved by his honesty, secretly organized donations for the struggling father and daughter. A trust fund was created for Lily's education. The city offered Ethan a permanent, well-paying job in municipal services. For the first time in years, he signed a lease for a small but warm house with a real front yard. Months later, Ethan sat on the porch of his new home watching Lily ride her bicycle in the golden afternoon sunlight. Her laughter filled the air, replacing the fear that had haunted them for so long. The FBI cars were gone. The criminals were gone. All that remained was peace. Ethan finally allowed himself to breathe without dread. He realized that his decision had not only saved his daughter, it had transformed their destiny. Though Ethan never became rich in money, his honesty gave him a future far greater than any stolen fortune could have. He learned that true wealth is not found in bags of cash hidden in mud, but in the courage to choose what is right even when tempted by desperation. And every night before Lily slept, Ethan silently thanked fate for testing him once, and rewarding him for choosing integrity over fear. Sometimes, the poorest man becomes the richest not through what he keeps, but through what he gives back. And in giving up millions that never belonged to him, Ethan Miller gained a life of security, dignity, and hope that no amount of blood-stained money could ever buy.